Hello, this is Dan at the Lion's Tower. I've been asked to do a little exploration of scaling miniatures for 3D printing, so making sure that the scales are all correctly set. And there's a very simple way that I do this. I've done it for a very long time like this, and that is by using a 100mm ruler in a scene along with a standard basic 32mm scaled human. The basic principle of my method relies on the fact that everything is relative to the human scale, so the human is the default basically. So in this scene that you can see on the screen, you can see here on the right hand side we've got my default human base mesh. You know, there's no clothes or anything else on him, just the boot feet. He's got a base attached, 25mm base, and then we've got a 100mm ruler off to the right. So every one of these large protrusions here is a 10mm increment. If we line the ruler up against him from the bottom of his foot to the eye line, you'll see it's 32mm in height. So the model himself is probably around about 36mm, give or take. So what we do is we use this as a constant. Now, however you pose, if you pose this guy sitting down cross-legged, he's still going to be the correct scale, as long as you don't change the height of this ruler. So the ruler has to stay constant, the scale of the model has to stay constant. If we then want to make an ogre, like the guy on the left, we bulk him up, we scale him up, we make him relative to a human. In this case, I wanted him to look about 10 foot tall. So he's probably around about 55mm tall. We've got an elf sorceress over here, and she has an imp familiar. So the imp familiar again was designed to be small, sculpted relative to the initial base mesh. I wasn't too worried about how big he actually was, it was more about how big he was going to be relative to the human character, or the elf character in this case. And then we've got another human character here who's sculpted in a kind of dynamic walking pose. All of these models are all built using a standard pre-scaled mesh and all sculpted relative to the ruler. So when we come to export the models, the first thing you do is you do your pre-processing, you do decimation, dynamesh everything together, go up to Zplugin, we go to Decimation Master, and we do pre-process current or pre-process all, depending on how many models you've got in the scene you want to do. Let's say you just want to do the one active model here. So we go Zplugin, pre-process current, and then once the pre-processing is finished, it takes 20-30 seconds usually, although that will depend on the computer's processing power. You then go to decimate current after setting the percentage of decimation. Now here I've got around about 6% decimation. It's 20% by default. I recommend you start at 20%, see what the figure comes out at, and then you can start sliding it down and reducing it if you feel like you need to. You want to be aiming for less than about 350-400,000 polys or active points up here. So anything less than about 400,000 for a single figure is not too bad. You can get them down to around about 150,000 usually, but you do start to see some surface deformation when you zoom in. Don't worry about that, it won't show up on a print. It's far too superficial. So anywhere between, let's say, 150,000 to 400,000 is pretty much a sweet spot for a human character. The ogre I would expect to be a bit more, and we've got him at 653,000. That's fine. It's relative to the size of the model. Now, once we've got the models selected, and we've got them all not selected. Sorry. Once we've got all the models decimated to the correct levels, the next part of the process is to select the ruler as the active tool. So you can see over here it's selected. Make sure all the things you want to export have got the eyeball icon over here active. If you don't want to export the model, click it and take it away. So we don't want to export that one, we just want to export the free sculpted models. So we leave the ruler active, we go up to Zplugin, and we want to go to 3D Print Hub. So first thing we do, come down to export options. We want to make sure you've got visible selected, which is the two guys, the guy that we hid isn't going to print because we're only looking for the ones that are visible in the window. And then we want export to separate files, and that'll mean that rather than having one STL file with a ruler and 4 models in it, you're going to have the ruler. You're going to have Antari the assassin, Griblet the imp, Alanor the sorceress, and Grab the ogre as separate files with their names following the naming conventions that are over here in the subtool menu. So with this active, we go to Zplugin, we go to export to STL, and it's going to say where do you want to save it. So we go and throw it out wherever you want to go, save the file, and then it's going to say, give you some choices. You want choice 2, which is use the subtool name as the file name. So again, over here we've got Griblet, Grap, Antari, Ruler, Alanor, etc. They're all going to retain their original names. We could use the subtool name as the file name, and then they all export. And then when you load them into your slicer, they're all going to be the correct sizes. Everything's going to be relative to everything else, and they're going to look great on the tabletop. So there you go. Hope you found that useful. Hope it was informative for you. If you'd like to learn to sculpt your first miniature, if you've ever been thinking about dabbling into Zbrush, I'm running a course that starts on the 15th of September, which is going to be run through Gumroad. It's a pre-recorded one. You don't have to turn up and attend or anything like that, so you can sign up and get a seat. £39 a ticket up until the launch of the course, and it goes up to £79. You get all of the resources you need, loads of information, pre-recorded lessons, homework, and we get access to a Discord server with that as well. And in the Discord server you can submit your work, you can send us photos, send me STL files, and we'll do some critical reviews and we'll help you level up your sculpting. So if that sounds of interest to you, go and have a little look. The link will be below in the description. Hopefully see you again soon. Catch you later, taters. Bye bye.